In a world divided by kingdoms and ambition, where power was everything, and only the strongest survived, a boy was born in Macedonia, destined to change history forever. His name, Alexander. From a young age, he was not like others. While other children played in the streets, he studied war, philosophy, and the art of power. He listened, he observed, and he learned faster than anyone around him. Trained by the great Aristotle himself, his mind became as sharp as any blade. He didn't just learn how the world worked, he learned how to rule it. But knowledge alone was never enough. At just 20 years old, after the sudden death of his father, Alexander became king, a young king, an unproven king. Many doubted him. They saw a boy wearing a crown, not a man ready to lead an empire. They whispered, they questioned, they waited for him to fail. But they were wrong, because behind his calm silence was a storm waiting to rise, with fire in his eyes, and an army standing behind him. He made a decision that would change everything. He marched forward, not to defend his land, not to protect his kingdom, but to conquer the world. His first great challenge, the mighty Persian Empire, an empire so vast, so powerful, so deeply rooted in history that no one believed it could ever fall. But Alexander believed. He didn't see an empire. He saw an opportunity. At the Battle of Issus, he faced King Darius himself. A king against a king, an army against an empire. Outnumbered, surrounded, facing impossible odds, yet unstoppable, with fearless strategy and an unbreakable will. Alexander did the impossible. He crushed the Persian army, victory after victory, battle after battle. His legend began to grow. Cities fell before him. Kings surrendered to him. Entire nations bowed before his name, and the name Alexander echoed across continents, from mountains to deserts to the edges of the known world. But this was only the beginning, because Alexander was not chasing land. He was not chasing gold. He was not chasing power. He was chasing something far greater. He was chasing immortality. From that moment on, Alexander was no longer just a king. He became a symbol. From Egypt to Babylon, people no longer saw a ruler. They saw destiny. In Egypt, he was crowned pharaoh, not as a conqueror, but as a chosen leader. In Persia, he sat on the throne of kings, not to destroy it, but to become it. And still, it was not enough. His ambition had no borders. His vision had no limits. So he marched further, beyond the lands he knew, beyond the maps of his time, into the unknown, through burning deserts, through freezing mountains, through endless war. His army followed him, not because they had to, but because they believed in him, until they reached India. There, everything changed. The battles were harder, the lands were unfamiliar, and the enemy was unlike anything they had faced before. For the first time, his army hesitated. They were exhausted, broken, tired of war, tired of conquest, tired of chasing a dream that had no end. And for the first time in his life, Alexander had to stop, not because he was defeated, but because even the greatest leaders must listen. He turned back, years later, at just 32 years old. The man who conquered the world fell, not in battle, but to illness. No great war, no final victory, just silence. And when he was asked who should inherit his empire, he gave one final answer: to the strongest. And with those words, his empire began to fall apart. But his name, his legend, His story would never fade, because Alexander did not just conquer the world. He became part of it.